large group breaking through the fence surrounding the statue of former President Andrew Jackson.
Will you shut up, man?
And Corn Pop was a bad dude.
This whole GameStop mess that's going on, but it's not really a mess. If, of course, you held the line with the others and purchased your piece, was a means to flush out all the hedge funders and all the people that were shorting all these stocks that they looked at as being overvalued, so that they could drive the market down on these short sales and make a profit in the end by pretty much bankrupting all the competition. And if you go to places like Infestopia and different services, they'll tell you that hedge funding is a good thing. It keeps the market flowing. It dampens down on corruption and all of these things. But what happens when these noble knights of currency are actually corrupt themselves? And that's pretty much the point. Going all the way back to Occupy Wall Street and all these things that are going on and that went on in the past. Now they took it one step further with Deep Fucking Value. Was the one that put it out there, went viral on Reddit, and all these people went and bought stocks in GameStop, a company that was going into the archives of obsolete services. Since you could just download games now, they don't need to sell games. You want to buy a console, you're going to go to Best Buy, you're going to go to Walmart, Target, places like that, or even on Amazon. These are the places where you're going to buy your console. So what good is GameStop? And maybe that's why they went into bankruptcy. But this whole buy-off pushed them back up into the competitive ranks of businesses that were about ready to fall. So what this had done is it had flushed out all of these scandalous people that are in the government, the celebrity elite power structure, and everybody else that profits off of the average working class slob's misery. Those of you, those small-time investors that don't really have a whole lot of leverage, you've saved up all your pennies and you invest in this stock or that stock. And everything that I've ever learned myself is if you don't have 10 grand, 25 grand, 30, 40 grand to invest, you're really not going to get anywhere. You're going to be doing it your whole life to make a couple of $100,000 or whatnot. But I've started to take a step in the right direction by viewing my money that sits in a bank account that's gaining no interest, it's not making any dividends or anything like that, and I started to invest it into all these different things. But I'm careful. Because if the stock market does have a bubble and it collapses and it crashes, we're all going to lose. So I've decided to take my direction elsewhere in other things, of which, like I said, I'll be talking to you more about later. But this whole thing, it was a move to expose the corruption and the biasness and all of the things that are happening in Wall Street, how these billion-dollar investors and brokerage firms pretty much got a lock on it. You, the little person, can never make any money. You're always going to lose. You got people in the government like what's her name? Janet Yellen and all of them that have actually received over $800K in payments from these hedge fund places. And then you have Nancy Pelosi, the ghoul herself, whose husband invested over $1 million in Tesla just shortly before Biden announced that federal vehicles will all be electric. So these people play by a different set of rules, right? They're insiders. They inside trade all the time, but somebody like Martha Stewart will go down, but they'll stay in power because somebody has to fall. They have to have a sacrificial lamb always. That's why you go to these federal prisons like I've been in, and you see a lot of these people that were the sacrificial lamb. And they've told me a lot about what's going on. But is this going to stop? Is like Deep Fucking Value and Wall Street Bets, which is the group that's on Reddit that talks about a lot of these things. Are they going to stop? Well, it appears they're holding the line, everything that I've read. They're continuing to hold on to what they got, even though places like Robinhood or Robin Crook, as they're calling it now, are fixing it to where you can only buy like one share. So will they go other places and do it on other platforms? I would imagine so. And what would happen in the end of that? Well, the government can only shut down so many places, and the government can only demonize these people for so long until more and more people start to catch on and figure out that this has all been a one-sided affair from the gate. And it's basically getting ready to turn into an international movement of the working class. And I've said this from the gate. And a lot of people always can twist around my words and try to figure out just exactly where I stand as far as politics are concerned. I'm apolitical, right? When I say I'm libertarian, doesn't mean I'm a member of the Libertarian Party. Not a registered voter as of yet, but when I do register as a voter, I'll probably register as independent or non-affiliate. So that means I can vote for anybody. And that's the way I roll. I don't support any one candidate. My issues with Corn Pop and all of the people that are in his administration are things that had an adverse effect upon my family and people that I love. I would have been just fine with Bernie Sanders. I would have been just fine with Tulsi Gabbard or any of them outside of the two people that I can't stand the most, which is Corn Pop and Kamala Harris, because of what Kamala Harris did as the Attorney General in California. So I have direct experience with these people. But I don't see a whole lot of hope and change with this administration because there's a lot of these corporate donors, these crony capitalists and everything that are in his cabinet that have been benefiting from these hedge funders from the gate. So now when something like this happens, it's a good thing because the people are finally waking up to some of the stuff that I've been saying all along. In order to take the beast down and to finally send a clear message to the system that we are actually what keeps you in power, you have to attack their institutions through means like this. Psychological and financial warfare. The same thing that they do to all these other countries out there that they don't like. When they're putting sanctions on countries and stuff like that, well, we could put sanctions on them. By driving them out and flushing them out, investing in these certain things like GameStop and other struggling corporations and companies like AMC and whatnot. Because it exposes a greater evil. And that's the whole purpose in itself. Plus, some people are making some money. Some average Joes are actually making some money. Average Joes and Janes. So they'll continue to squeeze and they'll continue to invest in things. They were talking about investing in silver and driving that price up, but come to find out that it was probably Citadel that was putting those messages out there. So don't be so quick to want to jump on board with silver just yet, folks. Because Citadel might short squeeze you out. You'll lose everything, and then that's just the way it works. Got to be careful with all of this. In the age of QAnon, you have no idea what's going on the grand scheme of it. You have no idea what could actually be going on behind the scenes. You have to know that these are reputable sources that can actually yield you some kind of dividends and some kind of benefit if you're going to jump on board and be a part of the economic revolution that we are now in the early stages of. So there it is. These kind of things are basically what describes Big JD's political ideas in total. I don't align myself with any party. I don't align myself with any of these corrupt government people. But I'm a part of the thought process of flushing them out and exposing them for what they are. They've been exploiting us for far too long. And these financial institutions, these markets and places like that have been one-sided for so very long. Now we start to see that when people get together, they can actually do the same thing that they do. Goes back to Bernie Sanders telling everybody to donate $1 to his campaign, but if 1 million people donate $1, Bernie Sanders' campaign's got $1 million that could push his message out there. And speaking of Bernie Sanders, he's been talking about this Wall Street speculation and corrupt brokers and these out-of-control banks for some time now, but nobody listened to him. Now he's starting to make a whole lot more sense to everybody. I always liked Bernie. I mean, the straight shooter, he's always said it like it is. Whether I completely believe in his economics and his political ideology is another matter. Some things I can deal with, I can live with, I can get behind, but some things I cannot. Just like any of them. So what is the future in all of this? The future in all of this is there'll probably be another huge push on another struggling stock somewhere, and who knows where it will land next. And that'll be the next big GameStop. And these people can only silence them and accuse them of insider trading for so long. But the same people that are throwing all these accusations out are the same people that practice insider trading themselves. All of this is coming to light. People on the left and on the right are realizing that they've been pawns on a chessboard for far too long. And when these little side revolutions like this, you got social revolutions, economic revolutions, ideological revolutions going on in this country. It doesn't necessarily have to be a line of soldiers with muskets on two sides of a battlefield shooting at each other, standing straight up. That's not necessarily what makes every single revolution. A revolution could be a thought. It could be an idea. It could be economic. It could be ideological. It could be religious. This is uncharted territory that we're in right now. So if you want to keep up on all the chatter, I'm not going to really spoil too much of what's going on and get too much into detail. I could just basically explain to you that this was a push to expose the unfair practices of Wall Street, hedge funds and stuff like that, government officials that get kickbacks from them. And now that it's all coming to light, who knows where we go from here, and who knows what kind of regulations will be put into place in order to fuck you, the little guy and gal, once again. So I strongly recommend and urge all of you to do your research on this. Check it out. Go to Wall Street Bets on Reddit. Start to explore what Deep Fucking Value is saying. Because that's his name, Deep Fucking Value. Get into it. Maybe even invest yourself. If it's going to benefit you and your family, that's basically what the thoughts and ideas behind a complete awakening is now. You can either be a part of the awakening or you could be a part of the collective. It's entirely up to you. Till the next one.